latest highlights.
Women's sport is having a moment that it should have always had.
And exclusive interviews with your favorite coaches and players.
We're going to keep this thing rolling.
You rock.
Don't miss
CNN
World Sport, only on CNN.
July 4th, join CNN for coast-to-coast fireworks and musical performances by Noah Khan, Lainey Wilson, Dierks Bentley, Sting, Nelly, and many more. Celebrate the 4th in America, July 4th on CNN.
Business is all about making connections. But some connections are easier to make than others. With a CNN partner hotel, the world is always at your fingertips. CNN partner hotels, connected to your world.
It is a busy news day all around the world.
This is One World.
The world's top headlines with some of the world's biggest players.
Stories that captivate from two unique perspectives. Zain Asher and Biana Golodriga use their extensive experience to cover global news with passion and intellect.
Walk us through what specifically Secretary of State Marco Rubio was talking about. What leverage, if any, does Prime Minister Netanyahu have at this point?
One World with Zain Asher and Biana Golodriga. Weekdays on CNN.
I'm Fred Pleitgen in Qom, Iran, and this is CNN.
Closing bell about to ring on Wall Street. Do we have records? The magic numbers tonight are 61.44 on the S&P, 20,173 for the Nasdaq. When they finally hit the gavel, we will show you. Let's have a look and see. 61, yes, definitely on the S&P, and absolutely for the Nasdaq. So despite all sorts of turmoil, markets, war, trade tariffs, you name it, we have records on the S&P and the Nasdaq. Those are the markets and the main events that we're talking about today. No deal. The US is walking away from the trade talks with Canada over the Canadian Digital Services tax. The US Supreme Court is delivering a monumental ruling limiting lower court's ability to rein in the president. And here at Canary Wharf, the big Canary Wharf transformation is underway. The chief executive will tell us how he's reimagining office space in the era of remote work, back to work, go to work, CBD, you name it all. Tonight, we are live from Canary Wharf in London on Friday, the first of our Summer Friday programmes. It's June the 27th. I'm Richard Quest in Canary Wharf, like everywhere else. I mean business. Now just look at that, extraordinary. There we are here at Canary Wharf, the beauty of it all, new development, the way it's all just risen over the last few years, surrounded by, well, HSBC, Citi, JP Morgan Chase, Morgan Stanley, onwards and upwards, Revolut. We'll be talking about them all over the course of the programme. The beating heart of Europe's financial capital here in London. And Canary Wharf is a test case, if you will, for the transformation of central business districts, CBDs, from commercial to residential. On tonight's programme, we'll discuss that transformation with the Canary Wharf Chief Executive. I'll also be joined by the former World Bank Chief Economist Joseph Stiglitz and the former Commerce Bank Chief Economist Peter Dixon. But we begin with new market records for the Nasdaq and the S&P 500, and this on a day that was quite troublesome all round. It marks a sharp turnaround for the stocks after Donald Trump's tariff announcements in April caused turmoil. Today's rally came despite Mr. Trump's announcement that he's ending trade talks with Canada. the president blamed the Canadian digital services tax. Just this morning, the White House said it had reached an agreement with China over rare earths minerals, and Mr. Trump said he expects more deals will follow.
At a certain point over the next week and a half or so, or maybe before, we're going to send out a letter. We talked to many of the countries, and we're just going to tell them what they have to pay to do business in the United States, and it's going to go very quickly.
Anna is with me. Thank you for coming down on a Friday evening.
It's a treat. I feel like we've travelled to a different country. It's so shiny and clean.
It's lovely, isn't it? It's absolutely gorgeous. And Friday evening, it is actually bustling. I thought it was going to be, just shows my... Anyway, we'll talk about prejudices at Canary Wharf with the chief executive. Look, there's a train! I was hoping we were going to see a train at some point going behind us. The doctors. Let's talk about today's markets. They managed to rally and they stayed above, even though
we saw this big dip when this Canadian announcement happened from Donald Trump. It took everyone by surprise. We started the day with actually quite good news in terms of trade deals, both this easing of tensions with China and the US, a formalization that rare earth metals will be able to go to the US, and in return the US might lift some export controls. Then we had the Treasury Secretary saying potentially there is an extension to that deadline for the so-called Liberation Day tariffs. All was looking good. Stocks were rallying, and then the president announces no more trade talks with Canada. In 7 days, there will be new tariff levels announced, and it's all to do with the digital services tax.
Right, but why on a random Friday in June do that?
When a load of countries have a digital services tax, and this one has been implemented for over a year now. Well, potentially there was some disappointment. The G7 did make some agreement that they wouldn't tax some US companies recently. In return, the so-called revenge tax clause was taken out of the tax bill. And on Monday, Richard, Monday is the deadline for a retroactive payment on this digital services tax. $2 billion.
But it just feels like, knee-jerk, we're back to where we were.
It's nothing new. The digital services tax has been there. Perhaps there was some hope Canada might lift it, and it didn't. But it does seem very sudden, and to completely end trade talks is quite an extraordinary move.
So let's talk about this deal with China. Is it, any deal with China is significant. The deal that they've done so far was pretty nothingy. This isn't the biggie, is it?
This isn't the biggie. This is something that has been signed. There is a text, not that we have actually been able to see it, but there is a text. Rare earth metals can go to the US. In return, the US will hopefully lift some export controls for China. It all sounds pretty good. What it doesn't do is anything about those tariff levels. So come mid-August, there is still that deadline where 145% tariffs from the US on Chinese goods could still be implemented, because this isn't actually a trade deal.
Anna Stewart, this is maybe the last time I'll see you before events.
Before my own deadline.
Your own deadline. I wish you well, my dear.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, we carry on to the major US Supreme Court ruling that limits the power of judges, US judges, federal judges to be more precise, to get in the way of the president. The justices ruled 6-3. It was a classic 6-3 that lower courts went too far when they issued nationwide injunctions against the key Trump policy. In this case, it was about his order ending birthright citizenship. The ruling does not address birthright citizenship or the policy's legality. Still, the president says the court gave a huge boost to his agenda.
Thanks to this decision, we can now properly file to proceed with these numerous policies and those that have been wrongly enjoined on a nationwide basis, including birthright citizenship, ending sanctuary city funding, suspending refugee resettlement, freezing unnecessary funding, stopping federal taxpayers from paying for transgender surgeries, and numerous other priorities of the American people. We have so